Well, good evening, everyone, to Recipes for Disaster, your online walk-in cooler, where we can come here and discuss the real facts about the kitchen, what's going on, the behind-the-scenes stuff, and quite frankly, as you know from the walk-in, anything else we want. I'm Andrew Gant, here with my brother Tim Gant.
Voila. That's all I know.
For those of you who don't know me, born and raised in Vermont. I've been in the kitchen industry for 23 years, currently in Savannah, Georgia. Chefing it up and loving life. And Tim, you?
Yeah, same. Except for the Savannah, Georgia part, and more like, I don't know, 18 years or something like that. I don't know. Something. I cook. I cook food for people. That's what I do.
Cook food.
And I live in Vermont still.
One of my favorite poor ways to describe our industry is I make people poop. It's a fact of life.
That's what I do. In work and in life.
Do. Anyways, tonight, cooks have fries, bartenders have drinks, and that's why everyone hates the front of the house. Talking about the differences in between the front of the house and the back of the house, why it's the way it is, why it is the way it is, how it can improve, and how we get over some of the hurdles that we have. So, origins on the front of the house versus back of the house. At the turn of the century, people wanted to sit down, they wanted to eat, and quite frankly, the people who had talent in the back of the house didn't have talent to talk to the people in the front of the house, and that's just a simple fact of life. Anthony Bourdain at one point worded it the best: the back of the house is a modern day pirate crew. Not the people you bring out when you actually want to make money and you want to sell something. True. However, if you want to get work done, sure as hell don't call the front of the house. They're too busy complaining about rolling silverware. And that is just a sad fact. You have the skill set on the back of the house where everything has to be detail-oriented, fast-paced. You've got 20 different moving parts. And on the flip side, you have the front of the house where you're juggling 4 different tables and trying not to get stabbed by the back of the house. So, where did this divide start? Tim, your thoughts?
Well, my thoughts are I would give the front of the house a little bit more credit than just being stabbed by the back of the house. They also have to worry about getting stabbed by the front of the house, their other front of the house, and customers themselves. I think I agree with you that back of the house is not typically fit for interacting with the front of the house, nor do we want to. Oh, no. So it's a necessary evil, I guess.
No, and it's funny that you mentioned getting stabbed by their own crew. I've told my guys 1,002 times, we see each other more than we see our own family. It's a fact. The back of the house has to be tight. It's hot conditions, sharp knives, literal burning the house down at points. It's hot, it's tight, we're moving, we're stressed, and we're there more than we're in our own house. I see the guys at work more than I see my wife and kids. If I can't trust my crew, I'm going to have a terrible working experience. However, it seems more often than not the front of the house is focused on the front of the house individually. They're focused on their tips, getting their side work done, and running out as quickly as possible. I really wish I had someone from front of the house so that way they can defend themselves on it. But unfortunately, I don't think they would.
To be fair, though, I mean, it's a dog eats dog world, back and front. And though the back of the house makes their money as a team, the front of the house, they make their money by making their tips. I mean, they're making what, $4 an hour if it's a good place?
Without a doubt. And that is I think that's part of the huge divide in between the front and the back of the house. You have the back of the house that's making a okay hourly rate.
Hopefully.
But by the end of our shift, we're hot, we're sweaty, we're disgusting, we smell like a deep fryer, and we're covered in only God knows what. Yeah. Front of the house gets to stand in their air conditioning and typically walk away with about double the money on a shift that the guys on the back of the house are working for. So
sure, as long as Karen on table 12 doesn't think that their steak's overcooked.
Right, and as long as the back of the house actually puts the food out in a timely manner and is able to. Now, don't get me wrong, I get it. Front of the house gets blamed for a lot of stuff that the back of the house does.
That's part of the job.
But that's part of the job. It is.
You're the front lineman. You're the. I would have to say for the front of the house, you're the. I don't want to use the term pawns, but if I'm using chess terminology, you were the front of the line. You were protecting the knights and the bishops in the kitchen, because you have to admit, a front of the house can take a huge beating, but the second a cook's told that their risotto was overcooked, they cry like a little bitch.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. And
now, a good front of the house will protect their cooks.
To a point. Until they punch something in wrong. Yeah, then all of a sudden it was the cook made a mistake. Let me get that refired real quick. And then they're coming back begging. Yeah. And that's really where you tell the salt of a server. Mm-hmm. Give whatever lie you want to the customer. I don't care. Make that money, boo-boo. Mm-hmm. Be careful how you react when you come to the back of the house.
Sure.
Because a cook will know if he made a mistake or not. He may not always admit it, but he will complain far less when he knows he made a mistake. However, if you come tearing to the back of the house after you made a mistake and you immediately start blaming the cook, 9 times out of 10, I can guarantee you that ticket is going to the back of the bus and you're not getting your food for another half hour. Sure, it's a fact of life.
Well, that's just the merit of someone integrity, I guess. You know what I mean? Like, if you make a mistake, just tell the truth.
Oh, without a doubt. Without a doubt.
But don't belittle the emotional turmoil and assault that they have to deal with.
Oh, without a doubt.
I don't want that. I'll make the steak. I'll make the steak again. I don't want to talk to them.
And that's why I'm back of the house. 9 times out of 10, I will remake whatever you need. I hate talking to customers. That's why I'm back of the house. That's why I try to treat my front of the house people as well as I can. Even though I get it, they're spoiled and they're pampered, and 9 times out of 10, they make more money than me.
It's true.
I want them to deal with the customers, because Lord knows we don't want me or anyone off of my line dealing with the customers. I barely want to go out and be complimented by the customers, let alone go out and get yelled at by the customers.
Yeah, it's about saying I'd be equal. I don't think I want. Just don't talk to me. But that's just the introvert in me that says, "Just leave me alone, please."
No, without a doubt, I would far rather stay on my line or on my back prep table with my head down. God, I'd rather hang out in the dish pit than go deal with the customer.
I'd rather hang out in the dish pit any day. That's therapy.
Yeah. Oh, the dish pit. I miss those days.
That's turn your brain off and go, okay, I'm going to do this for another 2 hours.
Right? Just hang out there, pop the headphones in, not have to worry about anything, and just go on with life. It's a beautiful thing. Unfortunately, we don't get that luxury.
No, but like you were saying, I mean, it's a completely different skill set. It's different. Front of the house and back of the house are night and day. Front of the house has to have an ability to read people. They have to manage their stress in front of people. We can go into the walk-in cooler and have a little hissy fit and go back to work, they have to maintain their cool or they're not
without a
getting their
doubt.
tips.
No, I have seen many a server and a handful of bartenders walk into the kitchen and immediately lose it because they have wound themselves so tight in the front of the house. And then I have to teach them the hard lesson, like, no, you don't do that here. You go cry on the walk-in like the rest of us.
Yeah.
That's
But
what the
again,
walk-in is for. It's for holding
what I'm
produce and emotions.
what I'm saying though, as a back of the house person, if something pisses you off, you're able to express that emotion in the moment
Oh, without a
and
doubt.
not hold on to it. The front of the house, like waitress or servers, they have to bottle that up until they have an outlet. So it's not that surprising that they come back there and bite your head off after bottling it up for 3 hours.
I actually think that's part of the reason why, and I know, I'm sorry, I apologize to my server friends. I think that's why you can trust cooks and chefs more.
I don't have any server friends, so that's fine.
I do. I have a handful, and it's funny. Every time I rip on the front of the house, I get the dirty look. I have one server that's coming to mind right now, and I know you're probably going to watch this at some point. You know who you are, my fellow New Englander stuck down here. But she also knows the issues that the front of the house has. I think you're able to trust the back of the house more. We're able to let it out. We're buried. We're cursing with every new ticket that prints while we're in the weeds. We're cursing at every server that walks in wanting another ranch cup. You know where it is. Go pour it yourself.
Yeah.
They don't get that option. They have to keep that smile on. And that's why they will backstab their coworkers and ditch out on their side work to just get out because they need that release. We get that release all the time. We get that luxury of it. And it's sad that they don't utilize the walk-in more like we do.
Well, it's your domain.
It is my domain, but you know what?
I'm just talking perception.
Without a doubt, but here's the thing. I have no problem going out and hanging out in the server area while I'm filling my quart container with some more Diet Coke.
Yeah.
Because I need that drink. Feel free. Come ask the back of the house. I give you permission. You are now invited to the proverbial back of the house cookout. If you need to freak out, come use my walk-in. I would much rather you use my walk-in, get it out of your system, and get back out on the floor, and for God's sake, sell the fish. It's a fact of life.
You gotta admit, though, you have to. There's the rivalry there. You have your favorites. You have your people who probably hate it as much as you do, who probably should be in the back of the house with you, but they're not.
Without a doubt, I do. Without a doubt, I do. I have a handful of servers that I have offered jobs to. Looked at them dead ass in the eye and said, "You don't belong there. You want to come hang out with me." Hell, I work at a hotel now. I have front desk agents that I've offered a job, like, you don't belong out there with those people. You want to come hang out here with us. We're a lot more fun. It's a fact of life.
Yeah, but we're also a lot more physically tired.
We are.
We also don't want to make dinner when we go home. We eat McDonald's and ramen.
But here's the thing, and we do, and we're going to be discussing that in a later episode. But here's the thing. We are able to vent. We are able to freely express ourselves. And if you want to work your way onto the good side of the line, servers, listen to me on this. Ask. Be willing. It's the small things. I tell my guys constantly, instead of standing there and yelling for hands or you need a runner, if you've got 30 seconds, run the plate. You don't have to say a word. Run the plate, drop it on the table, run away. That's going to help your server out. And if you show that little bit of grace and that little bit of help, your server is going to be so much more willing to go fill their own ranch cup when they need a side. They're going to be more willing to say, hey, chef, do you mind if I pop on the line and grab this handful of cheese that the kid wants on their pasta? And I realize not every chef wants a server or front of the house person stepping back on the line, because when we're busy, we're going to mow you over. It's a fact of life. But every chef wants you to be willing to grab your own ranch cup.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to help the attitude. That's going to help the relationship so much as just having this conversation with one of the front of the house supervisors.
It's the classic, like, even like management versus just like your staff. It's you work for me, I work for you.
Yep.
If you don't work for me, then I'm not working for you. And unfortunately, that's the mentality of the food industry.
Oh, without a doubt.
Like, even let's just cut the front of the house out of this conversation and just back of the house. If you're not doing my prep, go suck an egg. I'm not doing your prep.
Prime example, I've got a cook right now. He will prep up for him.
Mm-hmm.
His day.
Yep.
On his Friday, I literally can't get this dude to do a lick.
I have had the same experiences in some of my employments before. Like, they if it's not for themselves, they're not touching it. They don't even remember it. They're just leaving.
And you know what? Simple fact, and I encourage management across the board to do this. Mm-hmm. Fix that culture.
Yeah.
Fix it however you can.
Yeah.
If people don't want to start pulling weight all around, get rid of those people. You don't need them in your kitchen. I would rather work short-staffed
100%.
than have dead weight that's only serving themselves. And that's on both sides of the house, front and back.
I will counter that, though, because though I personally agree with you, if we're talking like management side of things, not everybody shares that. Some people would rather not be short and have the handicapped help. But that's when you're running the show, I'd rather be short-handed. But you do have to remember that there are people, if you make those calls, when we're step into management role here, as a manager, if you're going to make that call, you got to be ready to step and fill the roles to help the rest of your staff. Because you can't expect them to run short-handed because of a decision you made. Does that make sense?
I 100% agree. And now here, my counter to your counter. If you got a guy who's dead weight, as a manager, you should already be pulling your weight. You are the one that should be doing that.
But there's management who doesn't. They'll go, oh yeah, I'll cut that dead weight, and now you have to pick up the slack of an entire person.
You know what? It's funny, and names will not be named. You and I worked with a manager like that.
Yeah, 100%.
For many years.
Mm-hmm.
And it's sad how many people in our industry, front of the house and back of the house, will follow management like that, and they will learn that behavior and keep it going no matter how much they hate it.
Which is crazy, because I attribute anything I've ever learned from all the people who I watched do it wrong.
Without a doubt. I try to be the manager that I needed.
Yep.
Now, I have to break just for a second. I am loving the fact that we actually have 6 people watching. And I know at least only 2 of those are family members. So, hi, Robin. Hi, Dad.
On YouTube.
If you are here, drop a name, drop a comment, say hi. I would love to see you guys chat it up, ask questions, be interactive, hop on the line in this conversation. We grew up together. We can talk about bullshit forever, and we'll probably get off subject. So dive in, help us out.
Oh, I will.
Anyways, so we have going back to the topic, we have the
Sure.
cultural difference. You have the
Yeah.
gritty, battle-hardened kitchen crew, and then you have the polished, customer-facing front of the house.
Yeah, I don't think Facebook's working, but we'll deal with that next time.
Really? Facebook isn't working? That's a
Yeah.
shame.
Yeah, YouTube and Twitch though right now.
Huh.
But I think we'll deal with that next
Yep,
time.
next episode we'll figure that out.
But no, it's the type of people who were sought out though. You know, like you said, the back of the house was essentially the working class. You know, and
Right.
the front of the house is. Sorry, I have Dungeons and Dragons notes. I'm getting confused on what notes I'm looking at. And the front of the house was, you know, the trained, polished, and refined. And don't get me wrong, I've done my stint in catering. I was a catering manager for several years. I've rolled my share of silverware. It sucks,
right.
and I hate it. Thanks, Ed. It sucks. But it's a culturally different environment that have to work together.
Right.
You're taking two groups of people who are fundamentally very different and very different skill sets, and you're telling them to get along. Historically, that hasn't gone well.
Right. And I mean the best example I can give on this is you've got front of the house who hates rolling silverware, hates stocking the napkin holders.
I'd also like to state, to a degree, we all hate our job. Front or back.
1,000%.
So and remember, when you're rolling your silverware and you're talking about how much you hate it, the cook hates making that 30th plate of filet mignon with its friggin' lava cake. You know what I mean? Like,
so I had a wedding this past weekend at work.
Oh yeah, fun.
I had to do a massive locks display.
Okay.
And might add, it was a really pretty display.
A massive what display? I didn't hear you.
Lock. Big on lock.
Yeah.
Smoked salmon. Yeah, it was great.
I knew what that is. I know. I'm in the know.
Yeah, you're in the know.
Yeah, I know. I serve
from New England. Good God, man. Anyways, I had to make pickled onions.
Ooh, I love pickled onions.
I had to shave a metric shit ton of red onions.
That's a lot of red. Yeah, no, that's fair.
I have a feeling that's what our servers feel like at the end of the day when they got to roll their silverware. It's easy.
Yeah.
But no part of me wanted to do it.
Nobody wants to do the prep side of things, except maybe. I mean, there's a handful of people who want to do only the prep side of things, but everybody wants to just grab their pre-prepped food and go make food and go play.
Right, 100%.
Everybody wants to grab their pre-done silverware and make the table look pretty, but no one wants to do the prep work that it's required to make that happen. But somebody's has to.
I challenge that a little bit, because I definitely enjoy doing the prep work when I'm building something new. And I think that's what separates the front of the house and the back of the house. Sure. Back of the house will do the tedious stuff for the end result.
Yeah.
I think front of the house struggles with the fact that they're rolling it not for themselves. They're rolling it for the next shift.
Sure.
And that's the different.
But I think couldn't you say that about the back of the house? If you were prepping if you were cutting, 100 pounds of potatoes for the cook tomorrow, and you're never going to see that. You don't want to do that. You're not going to see the finished product.
Without a doubt.
You're going to be home, which is great, but you're not going to see all the hard work that you did.
And I think that's where it is. I think if you're able to see the work in the end.
Yeah.
I was thinking about, I've got a chef's table coming up in a couple weeks, and I was thinking about doing potato terrines. What means I would have to cut a metric ton of paper thin potatoes. I don't want to do that. I really don't. But I'd really like to see the finished product of it after it's fried in duck fat.
Sure.
And
I will say though, there's not an amount of silverware, and a table can't be pretty enough for me to want to roll that much silverware. I've rolled that much silverware before. I don't care.
Yeah, but just place it on the napkin. We don't need it rolled, people. We don't need it rolled.
I prefer like the bishop hat or something like that, anyways.
Oh, without a doubt. Let me see. Back on track.
Yeah, sure. You keep us on track because I will keep bunny trailing left and right.
It's okay. There's only 3 people here plus us.
I didn't say it was wrong.
So, the stereotypes.
Okay.
You've got, like I said, the gritty, battle-hardened kitchen crew and the polished customer service people out front.
Yeah.
Do you know how many servers I have that have broken that stereotype? There are so many servers, every time they go out to speak to a person, I shudder.
I mean, that's true everywhere. Yeah.
Without a doubt. I have one server that comes to mind that literally anytime I see them going to a table, I run and beg other servers to just tackle them and take the table. And I know you don't have servers at the moment because you're on the other side of the industry.
I've always mostly been on that side of the industry for the most part.
But I'm sure you've had that with your front of the house crew.
I've worked in enough places that I have people who I shudder when I see them do anything. Yes.
Yeah, you get the people that come in and you go, my lord, they barely speak bad English, let alone.
Well, and I've been in places where I've been part, maybe not as much, but been part of that front of the house thing where the tips shared to my kitchen, not to the same degree, obviously, but where someone's bad customer service is affecting my kitchen crew's pay.
Right. Well, and
because we're not dealing with them, but they're getting a cut, but you're going to make that person not tip well.
But ultimately, they're still affecting your pay.
Oh, yeah, because they're not going to come back.
Because they're not going to come back. And it's one of the reasons why I think it's so important that the divide in between the back and the front of the house gets healed. Because as much as I hate to say it, we need them.
And the flip side, well, let's do a parallel to that. Just thinking about like the front of the house, back half. You have it in some situations because, like some places that I've worked, there's not really a big divide between the front of the house and the back of the house, but you have a huge divide between the morning crew and the night crew.
Morning crew and night crew, that is a interesting divide, and I've never quite figured out why. Because it's funny, you have it on both sides of the house.
You haven't figured out why?
So
can I present this? Okay, so your night crew is responsible for cleaning up the entire kitchen, right?
Yep.
Making sure, or the restaurant, or the deli, or the market, wherever you work, right?
Yeah.
They're responsible for cleaning everything up. They do anything wrong, and the morning crew has to come in and fix it. But on the flip side, the morning crew gets to come in to a clean place and leave before any of the cleanups happens.
Right. And the only thing that they need to do, because traditionally, 9 times out of 10, your morning crew is the dead shift. You've got 1 or 2 guys in there.
Sure.
All you've got to do is prep. And yet there's plenty of times where the morning crew walked in, they didn't have to clean anything. And yet my guys are walking in looking for their prep to be done. And lo and behold, they couldn't manage to do any prep. So it happens on all sides.
Agreed.
So I don't know why, because I've been guilty of it too, why we aren't smart enough just to keep our mouth shut and do our job. That's
everyone's problem, dude.
Yeah,
that's the entire problem of the food industry is that we don't shut up and just do our jobs.
I get funny looks all the time down here because growing up in New England, big Patriots fan, I tell them often, I follow the Bill Belichick rule of management. Just do your job.
Yeah.
Just do your job. That's all you got to do. I use the comment very often down here is like, stay in your lane. Swerve all over your lane, but stay in your lane. Know where everyone else is in theirs, but just do your job and stay in your lane.
Yep.
But we feel the need to bring up this drama time and time again.
But that's tr- I mean, if we're gonna really break it down, that's true in life, dude.
It is.
Just shut up and live your life. like, yeah, I'm just saying, like, people are too interested in what everybody else is doing.
You know what? It's funny. Anthony Bourdain at one point made a comment or a statement that the reason most chefs are alcoholics is because life doesn't run like their kitchen. But unfortunately, it runs so much like our kitchen. And actually, I think that's more so why they drink. It's because they get reminded of it all the time. It's just more amplified.
Yeah, I mean, life and work is what you bring to it.
Yeah.
And if you bring the same energy into work as you do into your life, it's going to be the same.
1000%. And on the flip, that's one of the reasons why it's so difficult when we come home. And I know the front of the house has to deal with this too. I'm hot, I'm sweaty, I smell like a fry basket. And yet I come
Honey,
home.
can you make me dinner?
And I've got to make dinner.
it's just what it is. I mean,
it is what it is. But on the flip
life doesn't,
side,
and that's the thing. Life doesn't stop when you get out of work.
Right. And do you know how many times I've had the conversation with guys about how they need to leave life outside of work?
You gotta leave work outside of life.
You got to leave work outside of life. It's got to
Yeah.
leave them in their own spots. Don't let them intermingle. It never works out well. And yet we can't, especially when you get into the upper management end. Because, I mean, my phone is always on me. My phone is paid for by my work. I am at their beck and call. Today was my first day off in 14 days. And I woke up to a phone call from my job because a rep had showed up and they were wondering where I was at. And I laughed and went, not there. I'm not there today. I've lost you.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are.
No, you didn't lose me. I'm here.
Okay.
Yelling at life.
Yeah. Yelling at life. So
yeah.
why do you think it is? I mean, we know it. We need the front of the house. We need them to sell our products because you and I can spend all day in the kitchen making a beautiful dish. And if we don't get the front of the house bought into it, we're going to end up throwing it away at the end of the night because it's not going to sell. Well, why do you think we keep the divide up and put ourselves at odds with them?
I don't have a good answer for that because I always have felt like I'm an outside observer to those situations. I mean, I've been in management for a long time to a degree, even supervisory, whatever. So I've always had my hand in both.
Yeah,
trying to keep everyone happy, which I feel like I'm not a middle child. You're actually the middle child, but that middle child syndrome of trying to keep everyone happy.
Yeah.
I feel like I've taken that from life into work. I think it's super. I don't know why, but I think it's super important that you include the front of the house, especially in the again. I don't do much in fancy restaurants and things like that, but in the retail positions that I've been in, it's super important to grab your front of the house and say, "Hey, taste this." Explain what it is and say, "Hey, this is really good. Try it," and make them excited about it.
Yeah.
So that they can look at customers and go, "No, I've had this. It's so good."
It's funny. I often will get criticism for it because, the first people that taste my food are my Sues.
Yeah, of course.
Sue, because I want their educated opinion on it.
Yeah. Yeah.
On the flip side, I often will find someone, and I apologize to anyone who I've done this to when you were about to hear what I say. I often go find someone from front of the house that doesn't have the culinary prowess.
Well, not every customer does.
Not every customer does. One of my favorite SNL bits is where they do a cooking competition and one of the cooks gets disqualified because the judge doesn't like sour cream. Ignores the entire dish because he doesn't like sour cream. Something that he easily didn't need on it, but kicked the guy off the program because I don't like that. But I will often find, if I'm making something spicy, I find the front of the house person that I know has the lowest heat tolerance. Because if they can handle it, that means the mass can handle it.
Exactly.
I often will find people in front of the house that I know have the palate of a 4-year-old and want to eat dino nuggies and mac and cheese every meal.
But the thing is, if you can make them like something, they're going to convince
you have a dish.
They're going to convince a picky teenager at the table that they might like it.
Exactly.
Like I don't know why the divide is there, but the only way you bring it down is by bringing them into your little umbrella of a world. You know what I mean?
I did this before I moved when I was working at the school. I found a front of the house person who was a very picky eater.
Yeah.
It was my goal to get her to eat stuff and to get her opinion on stuff.
Yeah.
Because I knew if I made it so that way she went, "Oh my God, that's great." Someone with a sophisticated palate, in theory, should go, "That's amazing."
Makes sense. Math.
So you got to get your front of the house engaged. You got to know who you can trust on the front of the house. Mm-hmm. 2, get that fish sold. 2, get that special moved out. Hey, that beef's been hanging in the cooler too long.
You
upsell the ribeye.
I will say you have the disadvantage in a restaurant setting that I have had that I don't have in most of my positions, where if I make my presentation well, my customers see it. Before they even decide they want it, I can sell them visually.
Right.
I can put something on a plate and they'll come up and go, "Oh, that looks great. I want that." You have a disadvantage of you rely on your servers to inform the customer of what's good and what things taste like, and et cetera, et cetera.
100%. You also have a captive audience. Your people are there because they have to be there.
I mean, not every position I've been in, but yeah.
Mine are all there because they want to be, and that also, you got to make sure your ticket times are on time. You've got to make sure that your server is accurately letting them know what kind of timing we're looking at, what the dishes look like, where the ingredients come from.
Yeah.
You got to have all those. So
your type of cooking is experience. They're there for the experience. They want to ask. They're going to ask questions. And you need your front of the house to be informed.
Right. I encourage every cook who hears this, make one friend with the front of the house.
Yeah.
Get one of them on your side. I don't care if it's the cute new hostess that you're flirting with, or if it's I prefer you get
also this. Be careful with that, but yeah.
Yeah, we have an episode on that too. Don't shit where you eat. And that's the mistake the bartenders make, not us. Well, fair. Not us in management. Anyways. We don't talk about it. But you need that one person in the front of the house. You need them to sell your stuff. They need to get invested in what you're doing. Become their
Because if you have one of them and they're tasting your food, they're gonna have other people try it.
right.
They're gonna tell the other servers about it, and they'll have, and hopefully that person you picked is wise, and they have the other servers' trusts, and trickles from there.
No,
You don't need to be
100%.
friends with everybody. I actually don't recommend it.
No, and it's funny, especially as chefs, that you want to be friends. You
Right,
need
friendly.
to. Prime example, and it's amusing. I saw the clip earlier today. It's like that scene from The Office in between Dwight and Jim. You need to walk up to the front of the house and go, "Would you like to make an alliance with me?" Yes.
Yes, I would.
Yes, I would. You need to make that alliance. Don't be friends.
Mm-hmm.
Friends in our industry does not work out well. Someone's getting hurt, someone's getting fired, especially when it's front and back of the house.
Yeah.
Build those working relationships, build those alliances.
Yeah.
They are going to make your career go far. I've seen single servers bring lowly line cooks up to lead cooks and up to sous chef positions if the cook has the stuff to do it, because that one server took the time to promote his stuff.
Yeah.
And be his cheerleader. Because let's be honest, we don't cheerlead for ourselves well. We're either joking and cocky about what we're doing, and all humility is out the window.
Or we're completely self-deprecating and don't think anything's good.
Work did a taco and tequila competition the other week, this past weekend.
I saw some of the pictures. That looked great.
Oh, thank you, man. I was in the competition because we were hosting. I had to be, but I couldn't win. So I'm not saying I dialed in our taco, but I kind of did.
Yeah. You didn't put your all into it.
Well, first off, they wanted me to make an Italian taco. So I did a Chicago Italian beef, but in a taco.
I mean, sounds good.
Braised short rib, French giardiniera.
Hey, you had me. You had me now.
Yeah, I actually, where I really is going to get you, I made a basil and jalapeno salsa verde. So good.
Okay, I'm into this.
Where I won over the crowd is I melted mozzarella and provolone on the outside of the tortilla. So it had this nice crispiness, but it still had that pull when you bit into it, like biting into a slice of pie. Anyways, people were coming up telling me about how great the taco was. I was trying to do my damnedest to promote the other restaurants.
Yeah, because you were hosting them. That was the whole point.
I was hosting them. We were making our money, so I didn't have to win. You had
already won.
I went
you
through
had people
almost
in your
all
restaurant.
my business cards with the connections I made. My goal was set. I work at an Italian restaurant in a hotel. I don't need to be known as having the best tacos.
Nor should you.
Nor should I. Even though we all know that's the point. So I was trying to, oh, your taco is great. I'm like, yeah, but look at those carnitas across the way. That's the way you want to go. Oh, I had your bartender's margarita. That's great. Look at that one. That's a smoked poblano margarita. It's amazing. Smoked poblano strawberry and raspberry margarita.
Sounds wild.
Oh, it's so good, dude.
I like a poblano.
Yeah, it was. They dehydrated and smoked it and then used it as a garnish in a rim. So it had a little bit of spice, but they let the natural...
Why is it spicy?
What?
Sorry.
But they let... Sorry. They let the natural fruitiness of the pepper come out. It was amazing.
That sounds fun.
But, like you said, self-deprecating. Every time someone would come up and tell me my taco is great, I'd be like, Like, dude, I'm the white dude from New England making an Italian taco. Don't like mine.
Don't vote Taco Bell as the best taco place in America. Don't say that.
Well, especially
I,
since
I don't want to be Taco Bell.
especially since the guy right across from me had an old woman out on the stoop making fresh tortillas.
Yeah.
They were matching tortillas.
Amazing.
But
tell me they won.
Actually, they did.
Nice.
They won. It was amazing.
It.
You want to talk about a front of the house crew that got it, though.
Yeah.
They had it locked in. They had their people promoting each other. Mm-hmm. There was a long line for this one margarita. Not theirs, but the line was in between their taco and their margarita stand. Their front of the house was running up and down the line, giving samples while you waited for this other margarita.
Dope.
And that was it. The front of the house could have stayed at their margarita stand. And the back of the house could have just made their tortillas, but they purposed.
They were invested.
As soon as you got a taco, they were like, you need to pop across the way and grab a margarita from them. And the margarita people were doing the exact same thing, kicking them back over to grab a taco.
But I think that's kind of how you fix this, or at least you have to change people's mentalities of like, there isn't a front of the house or the back of the house. It's just your restaurant.
And it's funny, I try to bring that, and I use the joke often.
Yeah.
But, not to quote a movie, but one of us. Yeah. One of us. You've got to lock that mentality in. Look at your uniform. It doesn't say server. It doesn't say chef. Yeah. It doesn't say cook. It's the classic, that's not my job. It has the name of the restaurant or the establishment on it, and that's it.
It has your company's name on it, dude.
It has your company's name. That's your position, an employee for the company. Yeah. No more of this front of the house, back of the house. It's not my job to run food. It's not my job to fill ranch. Shut up and just do it for the betterment of the company. Because you know what? When your company improves, you're making more money.
Exactly. I had a situation not that recently. It was small catering, and I asked my cook to do it. And then I was doing something else, and I'm watching him prep, and then I just did it. Because I'm like, you know what? Because I think, and I push on prep people. Mm. If you're, this is just my own advice. If you're trying to figure out what you're moving on to next, find something to do while you're figuring that out.
Oh, 100%.
When I used to work at the deli I worked at, I would roll burritos when I was figuring out what my next move was.
Funny, I know that deli well.
Yeah. But I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know what my next move is. I guess I'll roll burritos and think about it.
You know what? It's funny. You know what I do when I'm looking for the next thing? We have a side banquet room. Freaking silverware. I'll grab the polishing cloth, and I'll go into that side banquet room where they have the napkins laid out. They put all of our silverware when we don't have events going on. And I'll polish them down. And I'll roll up a couple. And 9 times out of 10, it gives me just long enough to go, man, this job sucks. I want to go back to cooking. And I find my job real quick and I go back to the kitchen.
No, but like it and this is for probably a topic for another day, but don't get all your ingredients in your soup and then stand there deciding what you're going to do next. You know what I mean? Like, move on. And if you can't figure out what you're going to move on to, find something to do. Even if it's just cleaning out the cooler. Hey, 100%. if you have a slow moment and you have like a situation where you've used the ranch cup situation often, go grab a bunch and put them somewhere nearby.
Well, and I think that's where that's part of where the divide in between front of the house and back of the house lands, because you and I have heard it all too many times. If you've got time to lean, you got time to clean. There's always something to do. There's always something to be wiped down. Yeah. Oddly enough, the front of the house does typically hit these walls where all the silverware is rolled,
Yeah.
all the stations are stocked, and they are just standing there waiting for a customer to come in or casually filling water. And the cooks see that. We look out through our tiny porthole window in the galley, and we see 4 servers standing there twiddling their thumbs.
I will
And
say,
then,
though,
sure enough, chef walks into the room and goes, "Hey, we're really dead. Time to clean the grill."
well,
And then you
I
look
will
over at
say,
the front of the house and cry.
at least front of the house wise, I will counter argue a little. I agree with you, so I'm not really arguing with you.
Just
But
another point of view.
But when you're cooking and prepping, how many stories are being told? How many anecdotes of what happened last week at my family's party, or my Uncle Louie got drunk? How many stories are happening? Front of the house, when you're busy, you're busy.
Oh, 100%.
You're not talking. So they hear the back of the house talking during their entire shift, and they get a moment to actually interact with a human being they want to interact with, and they
Right.
take it. Not saying it's right, not saying they should.
No, but you're 100% correct. On the line, we're busy. We're balls out. But I'm still reminding you how much you suck. I'm still reminding the guy next to me how hot his mom is. And by the way,
exactly.
we need more steaks cut. Go, new guy, go.
Yeah.
Not to mention the fact I will never turn down the chance to go send a new prep cook looking for the cans of water. Won't do
Tell
it.
that story.
It's a good story. It's just a fact of life. We get to bullshit, they don't. They
perception.
get to go home as soon as they get their side work done. We don't. I have a firm rule. I may cut one guy in, but we walk in as a crew, we walk out as a crew. 9 times out of 10, we'll go grab a beer as a crew. It's far more of the team mentality in the back of the house because we get that camaraderie. It's the give and take of the front and the back, unfortunately.
Well, they're different animals with different skill sets needed.
They are 100% the small bird that rides on the back of the crocodile eating the bugs. The crocodile can't get the bugs, but the bird needs the crocodile for protection. We need each other.
Yeah. But which is which? We'll let you decide.
Come on. Big, white, pretty bird.
Dude, I hate birds, but I'm definitely more of a bird than a crocodile. Look at my nose.
That's a fact. And I digress. Hold on.
Okay. Holding on.
Love this. So yeah, blooming in the cage. Most people in most jobs, people have vision, understand the small things matter for the big picture. That is 100% true.
And your average worker isn't there for the big picture.
Right. But that's our job as chefs and kitchen leaders.
Yeah.
And anyone who wants to be a leader in the industry.
Mm-hmm.
You need to have optics on these things. You need to be pushing us forward. You need to make sure that we are having this stuff paid attention to. Don't get caught up in the talking crap about the front of the house. Suck it up. Remind them that that your cooks don't have to deal with Karen.
Mm-hmm.
Or they don't have to clean up the puke that the kid just spewed everywhere. Even though, let's be honest, dishwashers have to do that. Or bussers.
Sorry, guys.
But they still had to dodge it. They still have to dance over it. Mm-hmm. They still have to...
That's a good point, though. And I want to... continue your thought. I want to interject with something afterwards, though.
No, just they don't have to deal with the old guys flirting with them at the table.
Okay.
Let's be honest. Back of the house, doesn't really have to deal with back of the house.
Now,
'Cause we can be a lot to deal
imagine
with.
this. So, in your hypothetical scenario, the cooks are the crocodiles,
Yeah.
and the servers are the birds on their backs. But what about these poor busboys and dishwashers that live in both worlds?
Ugh,
Because they're stuck in between.
they are.
They're the middle ground between, because everyone's complaining to them about each other.
You know what? The dishwasher is too high to be an animal.
No, there's an animal for that. I don't know what it is, but there's an animal for that. Those are my roots, man. Those are my people. All right.
I mean, I feel it. They're the dolphin that hits the blowfish just to get high because they're just loving life.
Sure. Okay.
Even though I do love the dishwashers, I'll give you the philosophy on the side.
Yeah.
Even
Give
though
me a lot of things on the side.
down here I have a lot of cooks that have aspiring rap careers, what is really awkward. So line cooks often
Most of our dishwashers are just weed dealers, so
for the line cook.
yeah.
Okay. It is 9:59. We're gonna have to wrap
already?
up soon. What was that?
I said already?
I know, right? As I said, we can talk about the kitchen forever, and it's amazing how time just flies. I know we were all over the place tonight. Back of the house, do better. Be nice to your front of the house, friends. Front of the house, stop
Don't
bragging
date
about
anyone.
your tips and grab your own damn ranch. It's a fact of life.
Don't date anyone from the back of the house.
Don't. That's an HR nightmare for me. Not that I want to help HR, but that's way too much paperwork when you guys break up. I did want to hit one quick note. I had put out a shout out to people on the online community. Send photos of mishaps, your bad days. Tim wanted to make sure we had a place where we're able to salute you. So I present to you a small segment titled 86 Chef for our fallen. Okay. Thank you to all that showed up. I severely appreciate it. We have a fun one for next week that I know is near and dear to both of our hearts. Next week's episode, cooks, chef, and culinary graduate. So my navigating the odds of the guys that have been cooking since they're 12 and are now just a salty old guy in the kitchen that only knows 2 recipes, chefs that put the time in, and culinary graduates that just got out of school and need help changing their diaper. I want to thank everyone that tuned in, everyone that's going to tune in later. I hate to do the shameless plug, but I'm going to do it anyways. If you're able to support Buy Around for the crew, we'd appreciate it, because even though we're chefs, Lord knows we don't make any money. Thank you all for joining in. Have a good one, and let her rip.